to raise your hands for a couple of different reasons. Am I good? Raise your hand if you have, this is going to be fun, if you have ever been in love. All right, I'm going to start at the front looking. This is awkward. Some people are like, yeah, but she smashed my heart like a Taylor Swift song. And then some people are like, I haven't told her yet. All right? And then other people are like, I can't say that because my mom and dad are in the room and it's not real love, it's puppy love. And I can't say that. And then in the back, if there's a wedding ring on your hand, you're supposed to raise your hand. All right? But somebody help me out with definitions of what it means to be in love. Because I promise we're going somewhere with this. What does it mean? We'll go like talk show style here. What does it mean to be in love? All right. She doesn't know. That's good. How are you? I'll figure it out later. All right. Who else? What's it mean to be in love? I'm going to put a microphone in your face. Come on, somebody. People in the back? College kids, you know what it means to be in love? Anyone? I'm coming to the parents. Yes, sir. Yeah, here. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. Yeah, it's a hot mic.
Means to care for someone more than you care for yourself.
Okay. Everybody say all. Can you give me one of those? Because it's right. To care for somebody more than you care about yourself. Now, some of you are saying this. That's why I've never been in love. Because boys are selfish. All right. Some of you guys are like, have you seen her? To be in love, she's crazy. I can't really be in love. I can be in like and go eat dinner. But to be in love is kind of a different thing. Now, have you ever seen somebody that was a teenager and they claimed to be in love, but instead of going, "Aw," you were like this. Oh, come on. Be a real person. Like, there wasn't surgery that connected you at the hip, so stop acting like it. Hey, dude, you're a teenager. Quit acting like you're married. All right? Or you've looked at the girls before and been like, you've been in love like 3 times in 2015. All right? You're always talking about what it means to be in love. I stand before you, 36 years old. All right? I met my wife when we were 13. I met her at church camp, so it was like that. Well, I always call it church camp swag. Church camp swag is polo shirts and athletic shorts. It's a terrible look if you're wearing it tonight, but I would always kind of like dress up at camp and go around and go, man, that's my girl right there. At 13 years old, I saw her. You know what I claimed? I claimed that I was in love. Dial her up on the telephone. All right, old school. We gotta get past the parents. All right, dial her up on the telephone. Get past like a couple lines of defense, and I decide on the phone that it's time to tell her I love her. All right, and so like, man, you're straight 90s terminology here, straight and mack it. All right, and so I call her up. Google it later. And I call her up, and I'm like, and she's like, what? Is this like a small child or a puppy? And I'm like, yeah, see ya. All right? That was my first effort in trying to tell somebody that I loved them. At 36, I would love to tell you that I come home now from work and I'm like, hey, baby, I love you. But there's times when I just come home from work and I'm like, all right? And so nothing's really changed. But you see kids talk about being in love all the time. They see it in songs, man. You see it with people talking all the time about you got to find somebody. But I think a lot of you, if we're being truthful, you might be afraid to talk about being in real love because you haven't seen good examples of it. A lot of us look around and see people that claim to have these Christian marriages. It's like, why do you act like you hate each other if you're in love? I'm starting with this tonight to tell you about my wife/girlfriend and I when we were kids. Because I grew up at this really big church in Nashville. And everybody kept telling me I was going to be a preacher one day. And I was really, really good at it on Sundays, and I was really, really good, if you can be such a thing, at getting high for the rest of the week. It was that bad. It was that bad that I would show up at church and I would be a good kid for my girlfriend and for her family and for all these people. You know what I would do all week long? I would hang out with my friends and do my thing. So bad. You ready for this? So bad that I preached my first sermon in front of almost 1,000 people when I had been high that afternoon. I'm a teenager. I'm a punk kid. I'm a kid at that time where if my son or daughter brings them home, you're getting kicked out of my house. All right? You're not going to hang out with my kids right here, right now. But I'm starting with this story to tell you that one day, my wife looks at me. We're teenagers. And she says, it's either drugs or me. And I'm thinking, well, what? What are you talking about? These aren't like the real deal Holyfield kind of drugs, man. They're just some of my friends that smoke a little weed and I hang out with them sometime, all right? And she looked at me and she said, you pick. It's drugs or me. I'm asking you this question to start tonight because do any of you need to say that to somebody? I'm not just talking about drugs. But do you need to look at somebody and say, hey, you need to pick righteous living? You need to do some things with me here because that's why we go to this youth group. That's why we go to this church. Or do you just need to go a separate direction because I'm not going to let you ruin two lives? Now, my wife tells me that, and I can fast forward to you, and you can say, oh, it's a perfect story. You've got the ring, you've got kids, you're here preaching to us. But I want you to press pause on that story of a girl looking at a boy and saying it's either drugs or me. And if you got a Bible, go to 1 Samuel 25. 1 Samuel 25. See, my name's Taft. My wife's name is Malia. It's a pretty name for a pretty lady, all right? It's Meleia. It breaks all the rules of English language with that out before E stuff, all right? I have some fun with this because she was born in Nashville, but her name's Hawaiian and it means honey, so I have a lot of knowledge with that. I'm like, we're the most country people in the world. We've got this Hawaiian name, and so we have a lot of fun with this stuff. We've got 3 kids right now and 1 on the way. And when people see me and people see her, they have to think, how did he do that? And I don't say that for an awe or for that's what I think love is, or I know that you have to get your coverage. Well, what I mean is that when I am with her, I have to think to myself, how in the world did this happen? How in the world did these 2 people get together? And in 1 Samuel chapter 25, we see a story of 2 people called Abigail and Nabal. All right, do we have any Abigails in here? Anybody named Abigail? Abby, variation of it. What's that? Honduras, because she loves Jesus. All right, no, she's on a cruise. All right, so here's what we got here. A cruise to Honduras, yeah, we like that. So here's what we got. We've got Abigail and we've got Nabal. It says in 1 Samuel 25, it says that Abigail, it says that she was beautiful. Now, every Abigail I've ever met has been nice. You know, you haven't met ours, she's in Honduras. All right? But every Abigail that I've ever met has been nice. And this Abigail, it says that she was beautiful. That she was pleasant. But it says that she was married to a guy named Nabal. And do you know what the Bible says about his name? His name means fool. How many people here know what their name means? If maybe your parents ever told you or you looked it up. Anybody willing to share what your name means? This will be good. You raise your hand. What's it mean? What's your name?
Jason.
And Jason means?
Healer.
Healer. All right? Somebody else. I know somebody knows and you just don't want to say it. All right? What's your name? What? And Ben means genius? Okay, it means son of. All right? Somebody else. We got Ben, we got Jason. We're keeping it in the Bible so far. Yes?
Sarah, and it means princess.
Sarah, and it means princess. Are you one? Like all the time in your life? Are you a princess the way you act? No? Sometimes? All right. Somebody else. Somebody on the side. We got Sarah. We're straight Bible here. What's your name?
Chloe, and it means blessing.
Okay. Now this is fun when you start talking about this stuff. My oldest son, his name is Wyatt. And when my wife decided that we were going to name him that, she told me this. It means little warrior. And I'm like, oh, what a cool name for a kid, like little warrior. You picture him being born and being like, like this strong little kid, all right? And his name is Wyatt. His name is Little Warrior. Could you imagine having a name that not just means princess, not just means son of, not just means to blossom, all right? But it means this, fool. Your name means fool. As a kid, I was told the Bible said, man, call no man a fool. And so you can walk around and be like, what's up, Nabal? You should start doing that. We talk about bad church jokes. You can do that, walk around and be like, we can't say fool here, but man, you're such a Nabal. His name means fool, and he's with this woman who it says is beautiful. It says that she was pleasant. But then it says this. It says that David, it said when it was sheep shearing time, all right? This means when the rich people get richer, all right? When it was time for them to get richer, so Nabal, the man whose name means fool, when it was time for him to get richer, it says that they sent a message out. And they sent a message out to him, and it was David saying this, that this is the basic rundown. He said, hey, all the times that we were watching after your sheep, your money makers, all the time that we were watching after this stuff, nobody who rolled with you, Nobody who was a part of your crew, none of them, you ready for this? None of them were ever hurt. None of them were ever harmed. So if you could, in the name of kindness and goodness here, give us a portion back. Nabal, whose name means what? Fool, says to the messenger, who is this David? Now, you ever gone to somebody and said hi to him, thinking you knew him, thinking they knew you? And you're like, man, what's up? And they're like, hey, good to see you. All right, what's your name? You ever gone to somebody thinking you knew each other, and you go up to them and you're talking to them, and you're like, dude, they were terrible. They embarrassed me in front of all those people. Well, what's that feel like when that happens? Somebody like, it's never happened to me. Don't ask. All right? Well, what's the general feeling? You go up to somebody, you think you know each other, and their response to you is kind of like, hey, what's your name? Who are you? Is that fun? It's uncomfortable. It's embarrassing. You know what you think? I wish I'd never said anything. Some guys in here are like this. Yeah, whatever. What's my problem? All right? Act like you don't know me. You know me 5 fingers to the face. All right? You'll look at them and think, you better know me. You're going to respect me. I said that because that's what David does. Here in this story, what happens is it gets good if this was a movie. David hears this when they say, who is this David coming to us asking for things? Nabal, whose name means fool, is saying this. Who's this David guy coming to me asking for stuff? And he said, man, I'm not going to give him anything, give him that message, go back. When David hears this, you know what David says to his boys? Basically this, strap up. Now, if you don't know what that means, he's saying this, it's time to fight. All right, get your swords. If this was a movie today, it'd sound like this. All right, and they would be rolling. And they're mad, they've been disrespected. And it's time for them to go take care of what they think is their business. David even says these words in 1 Samuel 25. He says this, may God deal with David ever so severely if by morning one of his men are left alive. It's time to fight. Now, I know this means different things to different people. If you go to a public school, it's time to fight. It's this idea of, man, somebody's about to get dotted. It's about to be bad. They're going to fight. If you go to private school, it's like, I'm going to hit you one day, and you'll be glad to hold me back. So it's like public school fight, private school fight. I don't even know anything about that. I went to both, so it's straight. But here you've got him saying this. It's about to go down. My 6-year-old would say, it's going down. Like, it's time for them to fight. And David says, here we go. It's fixing to happen. But you remember that little lady named Abigail? It says that she was beautiful. It says that she was smart. She was sweet. When David is going and he's ready to fight and he cannot be stopped, some of you girls know exactly what this is like. I don't mean a boy that just wants to hit somebody, but I mean a boy that will not listen. You know what I'm talking about? He is so dumb. You'll tell your friends, hey, man, he's just, they're stupid and stupid. All right? Man, he won't listen. Man, he could be something if he would just listen. Man, he could be something good if he would just pay attention. And some of you are like, I hope they're listening now to this. She's with a straight bomb. All right? And guys, let me tell you something. Some of them, it sounds like this. All right? It's almost like you're on the farmyard, the way they just talk to you, and it's just in your ear. You're like, why are you nagging me? People nag because they care. Now, you hear that? They nag because they care. It's not a sport. It's not a hobby. I'm telling you this, 12 years into the marriage game, when she says something to me, and I'm sitting there going, what are you doing? Oh, this is what caring sounds like. Because I don't want to hear silence. This is what caring sounds like, all right? And so here you've got David, who's mad. Here you've got David, who feels like he's been disrespected. Here you've got David, who has said this, I'm going to kill him and all of his men. And you know what? A little cherry on top here. David says this, may God deal with me if any of them are left alive. Now you hear this and think, this is an overreaction. Right? This is somebody who's upset. This is somebody who's disrespected and feels like while they're disrespected, they can say or do anything they want to. You've been there, and I've been there before. And so in this situation here, Abigail meets him. Have you ever heard this? The way to a man's heart is through his... Okay, I appreciate you answering that. That could have got real awkward, all right? Through his stomach. And so what happens all the time is women will say this, you just got to make him some food, all right? Make him some food and everything will be fine. Some people say, don't talk to me until I've had my cup of coffee. Don't talk to me until I've had something to eat. What's wrong with daddy? Oh, he's hungry, all right? Just wait a second. That's why nobody gets in church fights at potlucks. They get in fights like in the hallway, at deacons meetings, at everybody meetings, in the parking lots, not even like scrapping, but like talking about each other and doing all this stuff. And growing up at potlucks, you don't see it because we're too busy what? Working. All right? You're too busy eating. And so she encounters David here, and she brings tons of food. She brings food. She brings wine. It's a party. She brings all this stuff here and says, give this to your men. And she says, here is what you asked for, but hear this. This is what Abigail says. Don't do anything to Nabal. Don't do anything to him. His name means fool. Folly will follow him. You're David. Something great is supposed to happen to you. You're David. In your life, things are supposed to be different. The Bible is going to talk about a lineage and a heritage, and that can't happen right now if you screw this up. You know what David does? Wouldn't the Bible be funny if he said, get out of here, woman? I got business. Wouldn't it be funny if it was like a lot of our real life right here, and David goes, oh, I appreciate that, and goes on over here and thinks, I'm going to do what I got to do? David listens to her. There's not this great bloodshed, that there's not this stuff that's on his head in this situation. And because of this, we see so many times when David took a bad course, but we see a situation here where lives were changed because somebody listened. I want to go back to that story. The story of my wife looking at me and saying, it's drugs for me. Now I want to tell you about something that happened this past weekend. It happened this past weekend. I'm sitting with my wife. It's just me and her. We've got one on the way in March. Our 6-year-old and our 5-year-old stayed home with grandparents. My wife and I sat with our 8-month-old. And we sat with our 8-month-old in a different state. And we sat at a table across from some people. 2 people that had gotten out of prison and one that's fixing to go back. 2 people that are the biological parents of my 3rd child. My son, who we adopted when he was a day old. We saw him. We saw the parents here. We had him for 8 months. We saw him for the first time this past weekend. And I sat at a table and looked across at 2 people that were high on drugs, that had gone to prison, and that if we're rolling dice here and talking about odds, they're going to go back to prison over and over again. And I look in their eyes, and the biological father looks at me, calls Daddy, and says this: thank you for raising them in a Christian home. It's amazing what people can say, even when they have their many, many shits in the way. And then he says this: don't ever let drugs in your house. Now, there could be the spiritual side of me. It's like, all right, pot calling kettle black here. All right, dude, right now you're telling me not to have drugs in my house? But it's a man looking at me and saying, you've chosen wisely. Don't ever mess this up. You've got something going here for you and your family right now, and you are raising a child as one of your children who you love the same way you love all of your children. And there's a man across the table looking at me telling me this: thanks for raising me in a Christian home, and don't ever let drugs in your house. And I think about how it could have been me on the other side of that table if I hadn't listened to my little girlfriend years ago. I think about how my life would have changed in many different ways if I had been like David. And if I had been like David here in my life and said, you know what, I'm mad, you know what, I feel like I'm justified, and my girlfriend comes to me and says, oh no, you got to pick me or drugs. I'm like, I don't know who you think you are. I'm right in this situation. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to smoke what I want to smoke. I'm going to be with who I want to be with, do the things I want to do. I could have very easily. I found myself a part of a gateway that goes all the way to prison, having to give my child up for adoption. But because somebody cared enough to say something to me, guess what? It's the same somebody that I get to go home to tonight. And I'm telling you guys this whole story, using David as an example, because I want the boys to listen to me for a second. This isn't just a gender-specific situation. But guys, let me talk to you right now. If there is somebody who is trying to get through your thick head right now, they're trying to talk to you about something, it doesn't just have to be drugs, but they're talking to you about something and you haven't listened for a long time, you know what? Maybe it's time for you to open your ears. Maybe it's time for you to think, why do they bug me so much about this? Why does he or she or they, why do they always talk to me about the same subject over and over again? Guess what? Newsflash, it's because you're not changing. Girls, if you've tried to talk to a guy for a long time, and you've tried to tell him, hey, you need to be this way, you need to do this, you need to change, you need to do something, and he's always telling you he's changed, oh, baby, it's good, I'm changed. If they have changed, they don't have to say it. That's free of charge, all right? Yeah, I'm just telling you that's a free tidbit. You'll see it, okay? And then let me wipe the genders off the table here and talk to everybody. If there's somebody that you've been trying to talk to for a long time about God, about the Bible, about life, and you're so frustrated that you don't feel like you can talk anymore, you know what we're going to do tonight? We're going to pray for the situation. You know what? If it's worth thinking about, it's worth praying about. And check this part out right here. If it's worth praying about, it's worth praying about together. We're going to do that. We're going to pray tonight for somebody who you've been trying to get through to for a long time. And you know what? Maybe there's somebody who's just like David in this passage, who's thinking they're right, thinking they're justified, and they just need somebody sweet in their life to speak into their life so that they'll change. You know what else? Maybe some of you tonight have had people trying to talk to you for a long time. When you go to church and you do the right stuff and you show up in the right ways, the same way I did as a kid, but behind the scenes there's somebody who's been praying for you for a long time. And maybe it's time for you and time for us to listen, to actually hear, and to think, you know what, somebody's saying something to me because they care. Another thing I get to do on most weekends is go watch my kid play football, my daughter cheer, and I always sit next to my father-in-law. I told you that I met my wife when I was 13. I told you we dated, we went to college and all this stuff, and he got to see this punk kid try to date his daughter. And I already told you, I would have kicked him out of the house. I would have said, don't come back, don't talk. I found out one time he even said to my wife, he said, I had done something real stupid, I was getting in trouble for it, and he even said, honey, you're going to break up with Taft for this? And she looks at him and she says, I don't know, Daddy, I don't know, am I supposed to? You know, advise me, Dad, right? She's such a sweet girl, right? And she said, advise me, Dad, tell me. And he says, you're probably going to break up with him one day. And we did. In college, we broke up for a little bit. But he said, you're probably going to break up with him one day, but don't break up with him for this. He said, because lots of boys do stupid stuff and only some of them get caught. And I feel like it was this moment of dad confessing to daughter, you know. And what I'm trying to tell you in this story is not do all the drugs you want and your life will still be fine. All right, I'm not telling you that. Don't hear that. I'm not trying to tell you, too, that parents just understand. I'm not trying to tell you that mom or dad would just have some faith and just believe in them, that we could be happy and get married one day. Just like that speaker guy, they came that one night. What I'm trying to tell you is that there are people who believe in you so much that sometimes it doesn't even make sense. There are people that care about your life so much. And that's why these people talk. Because you know what they want? They want your life to be a life that when you look down the road and you say this, I had people that steered me. I had people that guided me. And I had people that cared. So let's do this tonight. I'm going to say a prayer. But I want you to really have some evaluation. I want you to really think right now about somebody in your life that you've been trying to get to for a long time. And when I say get to them, what I mean is get through to them. You've wanted to talk to them, you've wanted them to listen, and you've thought, they're never going to hear me. They're never going to understand the stuff it is that I'm trying to say. Maybe you need to go to them in a way that's sweet. Maybe you need to go to them in a way that says this, I just care about your future. And I just care about what you're going to be. The same way Abigail went to David and said, you've got a great thing going for you. You've got a lineage. You've got something that's going to happen for you. You've got descendants. And you know what? If you mess this up right now with bloodshed, you're going to lose all that. Maybe somebody's been trying to talk to you like that. no matter where you fall on this side of things, what we're going to do tonight is pray for that. We're going to pray for those of you that need to talk to somebody. But also, I think it's fair tonight to pray for those of you, and let's be fair, to pray for those of us who need to listen. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for loving us, God, for taking care of us, and for being our God. Lord, we know too, there are times in our lives when we will do things and we will say things and you have to look at us, God, and think when you see us that we just don't care. God, I'm so thankful that you know our hearts. I'm thankful that you know our hearts because there are people here tonight in this room who've had people that have been trying to reach out to them for a long time and they haven't listened. God, maybe it's time for us to have, like we say all the time, ears that hear. But God, maybe we need to be people that understand that people talk because they care. That people ask because they believe. God, and that people bring things to our attention all the time, not because they want us to know that we're failures, that we're no good, that we're never going to get it, but God, because they obviously see something in us. And so be with the person tonight, God, who we've been praying for, God, that we've been talking about, that we've been trying to love on in different ways. God, be with them tonight that they might hear, that they might believe it, that they might understand. But God, also tonight, please be with those of us who have gotten tired of talking. We've been so frustrated. We've been so mad. We feel like we beat our head against the wall all the time. God, be with those of us that will have courage. There will be people that are convicted, but people that are compassionate at the same time. God, I pray for each person here, no matter where they are. God, no matter what they're doing, that in their life and everything they do, every way that they are, God, that they will do everything they can to point their lives back to you. It's in your Son's name that we pray. In your Son's name that we live. Amen. Well, what I want to do for just a little bit more of our time here is I can get into a habit sometimes of putting a lot of truth out there, saying a lot of things to you, and make it real big and bulky. And so what I want to do tonight is open it up for a second. I know that's dangerous because people are like, I don't want to talk. I just want to go home and talk to my friends. But you've been here for a while. You've had a lot of people coming and talking and doing some stuff. And based on anything I said tonight, or anything that you've heard since you've been coming to this Murfreesboro Life, are there any questions that anybody has? Hey, you said something tonight. I was wondering what this meant. Or could you clarify this part right there? I'm going to give you an open floor for a minute. Parents, if you're like, I wish he'd gone further on that point, or I want to know what he meant about that, I'm going to give you an open floor here just for a minute. And any questions that you have, anything that you wonder about, anything that you want to say, we talk about is not in the room. Whatever you guys want to do, it's an open floor for you right now. Questions, comments, random thoughts. Anyone?
Taft, I was wondering, can you kind of just tell them what you're doing right now?
Sure.
Kind of the story behind, I know it's a cool story, kind of how God brought you to exactly like what you're doing.
Okay.
Like how do you use that as your ministry?
Sure. I graduated from college. I'm going to give you a quick version. I graduated from college, Bible degree. I worked with youth ministry for almost a decade. Then I did outreach ministry with a couple of churches. And I was preaching at this church, West 7th, in Columbia as a guest speaker. And a guy in the audience, I was talking about taking your faith outside the walls. And this guy comes to me and he says, do you really believe all that stuff? I said, well, yeah, if I preached it, I believe it. And he says, I would love for you to come and work with my company. He says, I'd love for you to come. And I said, well, I don't know much about your company. He said, I don't know much about ministry. And he said, but I want you to invest in our people. I want you to invest in our 45 employees. And I want you to try to help me with this. And so I have recently, it's funny when you learn what your title is. I have recently learned that I am, you ready for this? It's going to sound fancy. That I am a corporate chaplain. Do y'all know that's a thing? It's just pretty awesome. I didn't know it. But what we'll do is we'll do a lot of things in our company working on core values. This specific guy has about 4 different companies. One is a restoration company where they will go in and they will help, like if your house catches on fire or flood damage. They will work with your textiles and linens to get those restored. He's got several dry cleaners a tuxedo shop. There's all these different things that he does with people, and we have an opportunity to speak life into those people and to talk to them on a daily basis. It's church without a schedule. So I'm doing a lot all the time without just an hour a day. And it's nothing in my life that I ever thought that I was going to do. I thought I was going to work specifically with the church for the rest of my life. But God had a different plan with that. And a lot of people that I'm able to minister to within our company are people that we were bringing for a long time to our churches. They didn't look like us, talk like us, act like us, smell like us. You know, a lot of people, when you do outreach, people will come in and respond to the gospel. They don't like you. So I'm getting to spend a lot of my days with those people right now. And I'm going to tell you something. There are moments when I look at my wife and I say, is this a real job? So like, I felt the same thing when you said it. Is this real life? So that's what we're doing now, working with them, and still travel around and do this a lot. If you ask my son what I do for a living, he'll be like, well, Dad can clean your clothes, and Dad can preach, and Dad can spank. And so those are the three things that he tells me that I do a lot. Y'all, I'm going to confess. Is that still rolling? It's okay if it is. I'm going to say something funny. The other day I told my kid this. He's the analytical kid I was telling you about. He wants to get everything right. And we were joking about my wife's name being Malia and Honey. And I go, Wyatt, you know why her name means Honey? He said, why? I go, because she's smoking hot. And he looked at me, what? I said, yeah, because your mama is smoking hot. And I said, you can tell everybody. All right, so I was like, you can tell everybody. I said, you can tell everybody. He goes to church. And he goes to Bible class. And he butchers the line. He says, my dad says that my mama smokes. And I can tell everybody. And I was like, nah, dude, you got it wrong, man. So we have a lot of fun at our house. We have Wyatt, who's a first grader. Marley, who is a kindergartner. Wow. We have Cole, who is 8 months, and the story I was telling you about. And then we have baby Jax, little boy, who's coming in the springtime. So that's my life. That's where I am and what I'm doing. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious about your story. So when your girlfriend gave you the ultimatum, did you get clean at that point, or did it take you time?
I told her at that time, whatever you want. Don't break up with me. You're the one. Well, I'm saying that as a kid, right? And I'm telling her that. At that point, I had to switch schools. And so I was still able to tell her, hey, I'm really trying. It's really good. And she looked at me after one of those times and said, no, you're not. I was serious what I said the other day. And at that point, completely cold turkey. My friends didn't understand it. I started earlier by saying, you ever seen somebody who sells out when they're in love? All my friends were like, man, you used to be cool. And this used to be fun. And, man, you used to go to a party, you used to do this. But when you do this all for her? And I was like, yep. And so I did. It took me a little bit there where I was telling her I was trying. But a lot of times when people say that, you're not really trying. We were telling them we were trying all the time. And so there was a gap there. To put it in high school terms, she said that to me at a fall hayride at one of our youth groups over in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, is where she told me that. And then my trying period went, that was a fall hayride. It was, we had another Christmas party where I was with her at it, so that was a little over a month. Where I was with her, so I tried for a month, and then at that point, I didn't do anything. So it took me a minute, but it also took me saying, oh, she's really serious. I'm going to give her this video. She's going, this. What else? Anything else? I can talk about her all day. So if you want to ask me another question, I would really got to random about his wife. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Oh, funny story. How much time we got? We got
time.
Isn't there going to be like the Church of Christ bell?
No, I mean, there might be, but it matters. You
Minutes
can talk.
remaining in this worship. All right. The guys who have come, I may know a lot of them, but I know two specifically. Chris Malone and Noah. We all here for both of them? Yeah. Chris Malone was, what's up, bro? Chilling, bro? All right. And he came first, all right. And he's really loud. Did he come loud?
Oh, yeah.
He'll go through the roof high on there. And then Nolan, these are both guys that I met through youth ministry. And I want to tell you that because they are completely different. They have completely different skill sets. Nolan will talk about Chris's pants being too tight, and Chris will talk about Nolan's shorts being too short. Nolan will talk about Chris and be like, yeah, brah, and he'll talk about Nolan and be like, some of the best. And they'll go back and forth with each other having fun. But let me tell you something. Those are two guys that are completely different that I met through youth ministry over the years as interns and churches I went to. And to watch people do things, man, you don't have to be the same. You do not have to be the same. And I know we talk about that all the time, but celebrate that in your churches. I hope that my little knuckleheads grow up in churches that celebrate creative deferment. All right, what that means by that is you can be you, I can be me, but we can agree on the one who gives us life. We can look at that. So I was really honored when I saw that they were both on this, and I told Nolan today, I said, man, I would have loved to have come when you came up there. What else? More questions? No, that's good, man. It's good. Better Sunday morning. Sunday morning when you ask for questions, they're like,
It's great.
what are we doing here? I was thinking the same thing. All right, go Gators. We already established that. Anything else? Any announcements, retreats,
You're good, man.
stuff? I'm turning the microphone off. Bye.
All right. Y'all hang out with Taft.